Yeah, and as you said, you're really pushed out of your comfort zone. You're traveling for 2 weeks with complete strangers.
Yes.
And, people come back from these trips saying that their lives have been transformed.
Yes.
So, what have you learned? I know you kind of mentioned this already, Christina, but what have you learned about yourself? Like, how have you grown personally? And then we can talk about how you've grown professionally.
Okay. Well, yes, it is a very life-changing experience. I think too, if you're gonna go on a SkillCorps trip, it's a very big, I don't want to say mental game, but you have to be prepared mentally. I knew that I was going to a country that was going to be very different from where I lived. I knew there wasn't going to be like a Panda Express around the corner, there wasn't going to be a lot of like regular commodities that I was going to have. But you're also very pushed out of your comfort zone. When you're there, I was talking with my team members on Facebook for like maybe 3 months before, and that's how I met them. And then you get there and you're just kind of like, okay, here we go. We're going to go on this trip and we're spending all of our time together, like sleeping in the same room as a stranger, like traveling 2 days, on a 14-hour flight, then a 6-hour flight to get there. So I
Mhm.
think for me personally, my growth is that learning about myself that, I can push myself to do anything. I can persevere through any adversity in my life because I did this. And you're kind of like alone, A lot of the times we have support here, like I have my parents or my friends if I go through anything. But when you're over there, like you don't really have a lot of self-service. You have to fall back on your team members as well. But just learning that you can go through anything. It's okay to feel the feels when you're over there, but it's not okay to stay in the feels type of thing if you're feeling sad or
Mhm.
down for one day. Um, but just learning that you can break through any adversity. I think I learned that through the teachers there at Ruma Tiara, and learning that there's certain steps that you can make in your life to achieve any goal. I really think that changed my life for the better, and I saw that at the center, that it may be small steps and small progress is still progress, Because if you can go and you can fundraise
Mhm.
$5,000 to do this for a special organization, like you can do anything.
Nice. Natalie, how about you? How have you grown personally?
So I talked about this a lot with Christina. For me, this was the first time I had traveled alone, and I was in Europe. And prior to that, we were in New York. But leaving New York and then getting to Prague, I was sick the first time that we got there. And that weekend, there was they were touring the city and things like that. So it was a huge bonding moment for the group. And I had to stay back in our hostel. And the next day, when I was feeling better and I was able to rejoin the group, I had a huge identity crisis where I felt very introverted. I didn't have a lot of confidence. These are all things that when I'm here in my home, my safe space, I am very extroverted. I'm very confident. I'm like a leader. And while I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, is this really who I truly am? Am I an introvert? Am I not as confident as I think I am? And luckily, I had such an amazing leader. And we talked about some of these things. And it was okay to do the work to identify that, no, it's okay that other people are forming friendships and relationships, and I don't have to be a part of all of them. And I think for a lot of my life, I've always compared myself to others or things like that. And while being there, trying to accept that I do not need to be a part of every friendship. It does not define who I am as a person, as a clinician, as a friend. Um, for me personally, that was the biggest thing, was kind of just having that identity crisis and going through it and kind of seeing what it is that I value and appreciating those around me, appreciating those friendships that, not that I may not have been a part of them. They were my colleagues and they were part of our group, but I wasn't a part of that bonded friendship, I would say. And that's okay. I could value and appreciate that friendship without it being a reflection of who I am. For me, that was a really, really big step for me. And a part of the entire trip was that identity, my values, and it, kind of going through those experiences.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think SkillCorps makes you be really, really honest with yourself. You have a lot of time to yourself to think about things and think about your life, because you are so out of your comfort zone. I mean, and you're going on a trip, and you're going on a trip not for a vacation, you know, you're going on a trip to work. And for me, I was gone for like a long time too, from my safe space here in Miami, you know? So, and you're going with people that you don't really know. So you're traveling by yourself. I mean, it's a big journey to overcome, you know, but it's really important to appreciate every part of the journey. I think for me too, when I went on my trip, like I wasn't really on my phone, also because I didn't have a lot of cell service, but I really wanted to enjoy and be present. I think it teaches you personally, for me, and I know for Natalie as well, like to be present in the moment, you know, to enjoy what you're doing. Because I was thinking like, I may never come back to Indonesia again. You know, I need to appreciate this moment. I need to appreciate this life experience and grow from it, learn from these people and see where it takes me, you know? And it just made me think about all the important things in life too.
Yeah, I think it was personally, it was awesome as well, because it wasn't about me. And I think going into it, it was all of these things that it was going to do for me, or that I was going to be able to bring to the trip. And for me personally, it was kind of breaking that idea down of, this isn't about me, and it doesn't matter what I gain from this. So I think that was part of that identity crisis was, girl, sit down. This has nothing to do with you. And that being okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting that you say that about an identity crisis, because at the same time, you can also, it gives you an opportunity to put on a different side of you. Like, you remember at orientation where we do the who can you be exercise? And it's
Oh my
like, if
gosh,
you are a
yes.
leader in your normal
I love
life,
that.
maybe you can be a follower on this trip, you know, and you're like, you can
Because
kind of
SkillCorps has a
reinvent
lot of leaders,
yourself.
you know,
Right.
like a lot of people that
Yeah.
are very leader oriented, like very there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And because you're traveling with people who don't know you from back home, you can, you can I don't want to say put on a mask or a costume, because it's still you, but maybe you can explore different sides of you that you might normally wouldn't have been comfortable with.
Yeah, just to add that, you know, I was thinking of this, and I always think about this often. We did an exercise, I think it's called the Who Can You Be, or where we had to describe one word that we wanted our trip to be. And, you know, some people say I'm caring or something. And I remember picking this word, like it just came to me. And I said, on my trip, I wanted to be fearless. Right? Not fearless in an aspect of like, okay, I want to just, you know, do things that are going to affect if I live or not, but be fearless in my decisions, as in fear is not going to hold me back in what I aspire to do on this trip. So I'm not going to be scared to speak up. I'm not going to be scared to be honest. I'm not going to be scared to put in my 2 cents. I'm going to be confident in what I'm doing. So for me, I think that was one of the biggest things I took away from the trip and in my life now. And I say it in my daily affirmation, like I am fearless in the pursuit of my dreams, goals, and aspirations, you know, like that is what I took away from it, to be fearless in whatever you aspire to do in your life.
Yeah. So how has SkillCorps helped you professionally? Natalie?
Yeah. So I think a big thing for me was going in and realizing that it's not about the knowledge that you bring, but it's honestly about your humility and the connection that you build with these individuals. And honestly, that is my goal as a supervisor is I passed my certification. It's a hard exam to pass. So clearly that knowledge is there. But are people going to listen to me if I'm not compassionate, if I'm not humble, if I'm not worrying about the connection that I'm building with these individuals and I'm just trying to spit my intellectual abilities at them? And seeing that, where a lot of while we were in Prague was building that connection piece. So yes, we're there for a short amount of time and we kind of want to say all the things that we think that we know. But if you don't build a connection in the beginning and show these people what you're there for, like I am here to help you, whatever that may be, or together, right? For me, that was a big moment, was not rushing and trying to give them information that I think that they needed, but building that connection piece initially and showing humility and working together for the interest of everyone. And as a supervisor, I think that is at the forefront, is building that connection, working together, and honestly just being humble about the entire process.
I completely agree. Yeah. In my experience professionally, how it helped me grow is that, yes, you have to remember in the back of your mind, you are not there for you. There is no personal gain for you there. Like, it's for the other people. I mean, personal gain and personal growth. But I think what that also taught me is that here in ABA, we kind of like, oh, okay, your child has a deficit in this skill. This is what we're going to do. But what I learned over there is that they may want to work on something else. There may be a different socially significant goal in their culture that they want to work on that's more important to them and their family and their child than what I think might be best. I think a lot of the times here in the States, we're like, well, this is evidence-based, this is what we're going to do, and this is the best thing to do, and we have to listen more to our clients and remember, like, we're there for them. We may come in and be like this all know-it-all, like I have all this knowledge, but we're there to help them. Same thing that Natalie said, and that's what I took back professionally from my trip, is that I need to be there for the family and provide my knowledge and be there to collaborate with them. It helped me also professionally to collaborate better with OT and speech and special education teachers, because when you go on these trips, they're not all behavior analysts or RBTs. There's speech therapists, there's special education teachers, different advocates that go on these trips. So for me, that taught me a lot about collaboration. That taught me a lot about listening, right? Because sometimes when we're leaders all the time, when we're in our own little bubble, we don't really listen because I'm just going to lead, but sometimes we have to take a step back and say, okay, this is a great idea. And really listening to help, meaning, when I went on my trip, we were thinking, okay, we're going to go over there and teach them all these ABA principles. And that's not the help they needed at that time. They were doing awesome in their discrete trial training. They were doing awesome with social skills, but they needed help more in the business. And for us, like, we need to listen to that and listen to what was going on in their business, because we could have just been like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but we're going to do this, but we're not there for that. We're there for them,
Yeah. And just to add to that, because, I've done, I guess, my first SkillCorps trip was in Uganda in 2018, that same year that you went, Christina. And then I've been to the Netherlands the year after and done some regional visits, just by myself, going on and visiting the partner sites. And one of the things that I really love about this organization and our philosophy for teaching is the Socratic method. And this is something that when I first went to Uganda, I really took it back home with me and applied it to my supervisees and to my families that I was working with, and building those critical thinking skills, right? So that the people that we are training can then take it on themselves. It's like that sustainability piece. Like, if we're just telling them what to do all the time and answering their questions, how are they going to learn to figure it out on their own the next time?
Right.
Yeah, that's so
and that
true.
works
And
with,
it's something when I came back, when I was trying to inform my donors or the people that I was working with what it was that we did. It wasn't that we went in and fixed things. That wasn't the point of it. It was listening to the individuals that we were working with, giving them the tools so that they could be sustainable, so that they can be independent. And the whole, message behind the Global Autism Project of do with and not for, which I think was super important for people to hear, because they kind of thought we were like these saviors. And that wasn't it. It was collaborating with the partner sites and how they can eventually fade out of this program and be independent.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that, is because, when I came back from my trip as well, even here in the States in the ABA field, I got questions like, oh yeah, when you went over there, they didn't know anything. And I was like, actually, no, it was the opposite. They are extremely well trained, even better than some here, So it's just that we're assuming things, and advocating for, we are there, do with and not for. We are there to collaborate. I'm not there to just be a hero, that's not, and sometimes it has to do with like our American culture. But I think too, growing from that professionally is bringing that to our clinics or wherever we worked and showing other people, no, like even in our supervision, you know, of RBTs, what do you think is best? What do you think you should do? You know, I use that more now too. And it helps them grow. And even with parents as well, it helps them grow to problem solve and do that. And I think a lot of the times, you know, we do want to be the hero. We have all this knowledge and we're like, yes, we're behavior analysts, but sometimes we have to take a step back and realize, you know, we need to listen as well.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.